My name's Jack Colley, and I've been fishing for maybe a good 3 or 4 years ago. I only picked up the fly rod in the last 2, but yeah, picked it up and don't think I'll ever go back now.
Yeah, nice. And so what made you pick it up?
It was always my dad. I think he'd always been fishing his whole life, basically, since he was a kid. And he always took me out when I was young. I never really got the hang of it. And then I actually went out with a mate one day. I caught my first big trout. And I think it was that point where I was like, oh, I see it now. I understand what this is all about. And I think after that, I was just like, as you say, you're hooked for life. And yeah, ever since then, I've just been, doing it as much as I can. It's just my thing now. I think it's pretty cool.
I think like a lot of us, I was similar. You sort of, I remember you catch the first fish, you're so excited, and adrenaline rush from hooking up to fish, fighting it, catching it, and then you're like, man, I just caught this fish. And it's a buzzer, right?
Yeah, 100%.
What would be one of your most memorable fishing moments?
It was about this time last year in August. I was at one of our high country lakes with my dad, and we'd spent the whole day without a fish or anything. And then right as we were coming home, like driving home down the side of the lake, we kind of stopped off at this little bank, literally just chucked a soft bait out. We're like, oh, we'll just throw it out, see what happens. And I hook into this fish, and it turns out to be a 14.5 pounder.
Wow.
And that was a fish of a lifetime for anyone. And to get it in the middle of winter, especially down this way, is like, it was ridiculous. And I think that moment, since it was so like not planned and it all just came together in that one moment, was just, that had me speechless for the next week or so. Like, I bet. That was super cool. And that was, that was definitely my best fishing moment ever. Like, it was, I don't think I'll ever really top that, at least for a long, long time.
Wow. Such a trophy, eh?
Yeah. And it was like, it's people say, oh, it's not about the size of the fish or anything, but like when you catch fish that big, it's just like, you're left sitting there just like, man, this is just nuts.
Yeah.
Like, and it was the size of the fish, but also just that whole moment, especially sharing it with my dad, who's been wanting me to get a big fish for so long, and it all happened together, and it was just, I don't think, it'd be pretty hard to beat that, I think.
I can just imagine being just like awestruck, just the size, just the moment.
Yeah, it was a pretty special moment. Yeah.
Wow. Does fishing help your mental health?
Oh, totally. I think that's especially one of the biggest reasons why I picked it up. Or I think it's one of the reasons that helped me pick it up. Last year, basically, I went through, like, I came out of a 3-year relationship in a pretty messy breakup, and that was when I really started, because I had so much more me time, It was like I wanted to focus on myself, figure out what it was that I wanted out of my life. And I just, I started going fishing more, and it was both about getting out with mates, having a good time, but also I did a couple, like solo backcountry missions, 2 nights in a tent, by myself. And that was one of the most therapeutic things I think I ever did in my life. And it was just, being, and like some people say, oh, don't you get scared when you're alone? And yeah, there was times, when it's the middle of the night and you're out in the middle of nowhere on your own, and it's a bit worrisome. But man, those beautiful mornings when you wake up outside of a tent, you've got your crisp, you got your hot drink in your hand, and it's just, there's nothing like it, eh? Like, especially just, you just get to take it all in. Yeah, I think being out in the middle of nowhere as well makes you realize I guess you see the bigger picture, eh? Like, it's just like, this is just one thing in my life. I need to just like focus on the other things, and like, I think that was the biggest part of it for me, and I think that's how it's helped me the most is, it was finding what I wanted out of life, eh? And just like, nice. And it was this.
Yeah. Oh, I can totally resonate with that. I've yet to go backcountry trout fishing, but I have done a bit of saltwater fishing out and camped in. Yeah, I resonate with you wake up, you get hit by nature and the beauty of it, and you just, for that moment, nothing else sort of is matters, and you just feel it.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool feeling. I think we're so lucky, especially here in New Zealand, having that access to like those untouched places so close to us as well. Yeah. Like, it's a pretty special place that people should utilize more, I think, because it's,
Yeah. How are you really?
At the moment, I think I'm probably the best I've ever been. Like, I think, I've you know, it's sometimes it gets tricky at the moment because I'm both at uni and work, and trying to juggle that with fishing sometimes gets a bit much. But them on their own, you know, you're constantly studying, then you got work in the weekends, and it gets pretty hard to find a day off sometimes. And I think that's what's making me struggle a bit recently, is I'm just getting burnt out from everything.
Yeah.
And I think it's just hard to find like a nice balance between working and studying and, you know, actually getting out to do some me time.
Yeah.
You know? But, you know, that's like, I think that's something that so many people have to deal with. And like, if you can just find those small times where you can just go out and have some time to yourself, do what you love, then it's all about finding a balance, eh? Like getting a balance between, you know, your work life and actually spending enjoyable time with yourself and with your friends and family and stuff. And yeah, and I think that's, but like, you know, if I didn't have the work and study, you know, I think I'd actually be a little bit bored as well. Like if I had nothing to focus on, I think, you know, and I'd actually be worried I might get sick of fishing because it would be all I did. And I think it's good. It's real good to have that balance of like those things that are, you know, both important to you, but also, you know, have something else to focus on as well, like work or school, you know?
Yeah.
And I think,
Yeah.
But yeah, I honestly think I'm so happy with where I am in life at the moment. Like, yeah.
That's awesome.
That's
That's awesome to hear. I'm glad. Yeah. I like that. So what are you studying?
I study in conservation and ecology.
Nice.
So yeah, hoping to get into something like that in the future.
Yeah.
Something fishing based would be pretty cool. Like I know Fishing Game do a lot of ecologist roles and stuff. Yeah. So they do like river ecology and stuff. And apparently it's quite hard to get into, but I think, you know, that would be the long-term goal for me. And then it would be like unite my passions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, that'd be epic.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're going to get there.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah.
I'm sure. And because I think in a lot of things that we do, you know, if we've got the passion tied with the hard work.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, totally.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. If like, yeah, that's that whole thing, you know, like if you like what you know, if you're passionate about your job, you won't actually be working. You're going to a place where you can earn money and have fun at the same time and do all that stuff, you know. It's,
yeah, you'll do the little bit extras, eh? The 1%ers that others maybe wouldn't if they weren't as passionate.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's one of life's hardest challenges you've had to overcome?
Now, the only thing that comes to mind for me straight off the bat is once again just finding a good balance between things.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk myself up or anything, but like right at the moment, I'm in quite a good spot.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like this is probably like the best I've probably been in my life, and I'm super happy with everything.
Nice.
And I think that's like, even though sometimes I do find it hard to find a balance, like when you do find that balance of your passions, your hobbies, and actually, you know, getting down and doing the hard mahi, like work and studying, and that's what I think is really important, because it gives you a sense of, you know, you're not. I take it as when I go out fishing, especially after I've just had a long week of studying work, it's almost like a reward, you know, and I think that makes the me time way more special than it would be without that stuff. If I was doing it all the time, then it wouldn't be as, you know, I'd probably start to feel a little bit guilty, like, oh, maybe I should be doing, you know, something, getting some money, going to work, doing some study. And I think if you can find like a real good balance, especially if you've got a family, you've got someone you love, it's really important to, you know, have time with them, have time with yourself, have time, you know, working and whatever. I think if you can find that balance really well, then, you know, you'll be in a much better position in your life, because the time that you do get to yourself will feel so much more special, because you know you've done all the hard stuff. You know? Yeah.
I often say to the people I work with that we all have a recipe for our own well-being and health.
Oh, totally.
And how it's all unique.
100%.
Everyone's got different sort of going through stages of their life. So someone like, you know, you're studying and working and looking at becoming, whereas, you know, you've got maybe like some form of myself, like obviously I'm a bit older than you.
Yeah,
and
exactly. Yeah.
got a family and whatnot. So you couldn't say to someone, do this, and the same person do this.
No,
it
totally.
Work, right?
Yeah, and I think, like I cannot speak for like anyone other than myself, and they're like, Like, you know, I think I'm pretty lucky not to have, like, you know, like so many people are going through so much harder stuff than I am, and I completely respect that. Like, I think the people who can do that and, you know, still find time for themselves and stuff is just like, it's so, you know, it's inspiring to me, you know.
Sure,
like, it's
yeah.
like because I'm lucky enough not to have. This is a great time for this to happen, isn't it? Anyway, back to what we're talking about. Like, yeah, I think it's hard to say it and not feel like, I don't want to feel like, oh, I'm good, I'm better than anyone else, and I'm not. You know, and I have so much respect for people who have stuff going on in their life that they are struggling to find a balance, you know, struggling to just, you know, get out and do stuff that they want to do. And I think that's really hard, and I respect those people so much more for, you know, being strong and being able to, you know, push through that stuff. And like, you know, I'm young, I haven't had all these like crazy life experiences yet, and it's a little bit scary sometimes, you know, like, you know, like there's so many things I've yet to experience, you know, and I'm like, but I think that's why I think I like living in the moment, and I'm enjoying my life right now when I don't have as many responsibilities as I know I will have later on in the future, you know. And I think, I think that's what's kind of got me out fishing so much more as well, because I know I won't have as much time, you know, later on down the track. And so I think, you know, spend your time when you can, you know.
So I've worked with people, and maybe sure they've gone from an unwanted space to somewhere where they're more positive and a life that they've worked towards. And sometimes, and even for myself, you can sense a little bit of shyness around, or hesitation around saying, oh yeah, I'm doing really good, because like I understand what you're saying, like you don't want to be like, oh yeah, I'm doing great, you know, blah blah blah, look at me, like, but it's not that. And I always say to people too, we shouldn't be shy about that, because that doesn't just happen. There are things that need to fall in place, or we need to do to ensure that happens. You know, feeling good or getting to a good space doesn't just happen.
Totally. And I think, and
that's why I like to give credit to those people that might be a little bit shy or hesitant to say that, when really shouldn't, because again, you've done work to get there.
100%. Yeah, totally. July last year, I came out of and I don't, because I'm so young as well, like I feel like, you know, it could have been worse. Like it was a long relationship, and it's funny, with the more you spend time with someone like that, you get so attached to them, and you feel like, you know, you're going to spend the rest of your life with this person, and suddenly it all goes down the drain, and you kind of get this, like, when you're with someone like that, you get, I won't call it a false sense of safety, but like, you know, you feel like nothing can happen, and you've always got that person there to be with. And then when that goes away, it's quite a shock to the system, eh? You're like, you don't have that person always there, and you kind of have to figure out what, you know, you're going to do with that time that you usually spend with that person. And I think that's what made me, you know, start fishing so much, is, you know, if I don't have this time with someone else, I'll use it to focus on myself, you know, find something that I love, get good at it. And, you know, I think that's also what helps me. You know, I won't say I'm a good fisherman, but I think I'm pretty proficient, and that's because I had all that time to myself to figure out what I loved and get good at it. And, you know, now I've got to the point where I feel like, you know, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, you know. And I think that was really, it kind of dawned on me maybe late last year, basically in the middle of the fishing season, when I was going on lots of backcountry trips. And there was just a couple mornings I woke up and I was just like, you know, I could not be happier, because I realized that, you know, this is what I was supposed to be doing with my time to myself and everything. And it was really healing, because it gave me that sense of safety back again. It made me like, I knew who I was. I knew like what I was supposed to be doing with my life, I guess, you know, like this is who I am. This is like, I'm not going to let anyone really get in the way of this, because it's, I don't mean that in a way like I'd never change this for someone, or like, you know, but I think this, like, it's funny how people never see something like fishing as such a serious hobby and stuff. Like, like for me, it's, you know, it's not really a hobby anymore. It's almost like a lifestyle, you know. And I think it's because it has those, you know, it has those moments that have you so, you know, full of energy and stuff, and you're always chasing that next fish and stuff. It just gives you a sense of purpose, you know. And I think that's really important in life, because if you don't have, you know, stuff like that, then yeah. But I think, yeah, fishing helped me in that way so much, because it just let me have some really good, you know, me time and figure out what I wanted out of my life. And and that was really important to me, and it still is. And I don't think it ever won't be, you know. This is what I'll probably be doing for the rest of my life, and I'm glad I found it at such a, you know, young age. And I think that's really cool. So
Oh yeah, I saw you in a band, man. I saw that you released
a single, new single.
So how'd you get into that? Is that another passion of yours?
Yeah, so that's, I play the drums, and I've played the drums for a long time in my life. And when I started out fishing, I think, like as I said before, you know, it was about alone time and me time. I think, like, you know, and I'm so for, you know, going out and speaking to people about stuff as well. And I think that was probably one of the things I could have done more, is like, I never really talked to people about it. And I'm like, you know, sometimes I'm quite glad that I found, you know, peace on my own for the most part. You know, there were lots of people there around to help me, and I'm really appreciative of those people for, you know, letting me open up and just, you know, like I had some really awesome friends at the time, and they just, you know, they just helped me figure out, you know, who I was and what I was meant to do and stuff. Like I say with fishing. But yeah, I still think I could have, I don't think I really did that enough, like opened up to people, you know? And I think, that's what kind of started the whole band thing, I guess. As I had a couple mates who I knew who played guitar and sang and did vocals for stuff, and I was like, well, they actually had a band before the band that I'm in now with another drummer, and at the time that I'd been kind of going through this, they had split up and were like looking for a new drummer. So I was like, I talked to them a while and like, oh hey, what if we should start something maybe one day. And so we did you know, this was in high school, and a couple practice sessions later, we were like, hey, this is really cool. We should probably like just keep up with this. And so it only took a couple, you know, we won a couple like little regional competitions with like songwriting and stuff, and we were like, you know, this could actually like work out pretty well. And like, you know, ever since then currently we've been pretty lucky finding like an awesome place to like have a studio set up and stuff at one of our the bassist dad's workplace. They have like a spare room, so we just set up all the instruments and stuff in there and go in there 3 times a week. And it was so cool. Like, you know, like fishing is so important to me, but it's also really cool having something else like that. And it's like a completely different vibe, you know. It's so much less about alone time, more like, you know, like I think the songwriting process especially is like so cool to connect with other people and find similar ideas like that. And it was so cool finding 2 other people who like, you know, liked the same kind of music I did, had similar ideas on how they wanted to write songs, and it just gelled together so quickly and so well that we're like, guys, we got to pursue this. We got to do stuff with it. And so we just finished writing an album, recording it all on our own, doing the mixing process and the mastering process all by ourselves. We just bought secondhand like recording equipment and stuff on Facebook Marketplace and stuff, and like we'd recorded stuff professionally before, and we just found that, you know, you give your music to someone else to mix it, and it just never comes back as what you wanted it to be. And so doing it all yourself is really cool, because you get that whole creative process to yourself, and you can all figure out and go, oh, I want this to sound like this, I want this to sound like this. And like we've done that now, we've got this whole full fleshed out album, and it's like, it's so like such a rewarding process when you get that final product, you know. And we listen to it back again, and we're like, guys, this is like, we did this without the help of anyone. We did this all on our own, and it actually sounds like really good. And it was like, it's super cool. And I think it's nice to have like another activity that's quite different. Like that's way more kind of the social life, you know, like especially when you're playing gigs at like bars, you know, in the evenings and stuff, and going out with mates, and you know, and it's a pretty cool experience playing to a crowd. Like, it's humbling, man. Like, first couple of times I was shaking and nervous, but I think the more I do it, the more I learn to love it, and like, you know, you get that awesome positive energy from the crowd, and it's pretty awesome. One of the most powerful experiences I had through that was playing like at a festival for the first time.
Wow.
So we played at it was called the Smoke and Barbecue Festival, which was in Hagley Park, which is like, you know, the biggest park.
Yeah.
And like, we were the opening band, and we definitely weren't as big as the other bands, but it was our first time playing for like quite a big crowd. You know, there were like 3,000 people there, and it was pretty crazy and a pretty awesome experience, especially like because we're a 3-piece band. Like, being on that massive stage, you've got such a massive area around you. It's like, it's so daunting, but by the end of it, you know, it was just like, we were having so much fun. We were like, you know, like, we are the opening band and whatever, but as long as we're having fun, you know, that's the best part about it. And yeah, it was so cool. And like, all the big bands were saying like, oh, you guys were so awesome. Like, you need to keep going on this. And it was like so cool to have that, you know, like, affirmation from someone like you can look up to. It's like, it was pretty awesome.
Oh, good on you guys. What's the band name for those
So
watching?
That's Sandfly. And we've got music out on all streaming platforms, everything. And our debut album comes out on the 1st of November. So
nice.
Yeah, look out for that. We spent like a couple good years writing it, and we're pretty happy where it is. And you know, it's awesome, pretty cool.
So the name Sandfly, has it got anything to do with fishing, or is it not related?
No, actually, it's funny you say that, because I do actually often go fishing with the guitarist. He's probably one of my best fishing buddies. We go out a lot. Yeah. The name kind of just came out of nowhere. We were very much just kind of throwing around random stuff, and I think it actually stemmed from a stupid name that I'd come up with called like, what was it? It was like something stupid like Interstellar Cosmic Sandfly. We were like, oh, this is cool, but why don't we just strip it down to Sandfly? And we're like, at the time, we're like, you know what, we're just going to keep it like that for now until we come up with something better. And we never came up with something better, so it just stuck. And we're like, oh, that's all right. This is pretty cool. And you know, it's like, it's funny, everyone says like, oh, why are you named after like the most annoying insect out there? And it's like, well, if you take that away from it, the word Sandfly sounds kind of cool. Like, yeah. And it's got Kiwi roots in the name, you know. The Sandflies in New Zealand, like everyone knows about them. Yeah.
What is your dream? What would you like to achieve? And let's get like no holds bar.
Yeah.
We're going like, you know,
ultimate dreams. Yeah. I think, you know, and like, I've always said to myself, like, especially with this band thing, you know, like, not saying it will go big, but you know, if the band happened to go big, you know, it's one of those things that you just have to go, right, I kind of just have to drop everything and go with that. Because, you know, becoming a big musician, you know, especially when you're like going on world tours and stuff, you don't have time for anything else. I think that's the scary part for me, is because I really like the other things I'm doing as well. Like, I'm really enjoying my study at the moment, really enjoying my fishing. And I think it would be pretty hard to find a balance, especially if that band thing went big. So I'm kind of stuck at a bit of a crossroads at the moment, figuring out where I need to go next. But ultimately, I think ultimately I'd love for the band to, you know, go pretty big, and then I can pursue that for a while. And I'm, you know, it's one of those things where I'd be happy to make that small sacrifice of, you know, not going fishing as often, at least for a while I pursue that or something. Because if I were to, you know, be in a big band, you know, like touring and being super famous, I think, like, reluctantly, I would love it, like, so much that I'd be scared I'd forget about everything else. So I think, in the end, my ultimate goal would just to be, like, somehow find that really good balance of that big social life with the band, but also have, you know, a good couple months to myself, you know, downtime, you know, so I can fish, you know, have a family, you know, have family life, and, you know, just have a more humble experience. And I think those humble experiences like that are something like people forget about a lot of the time, and I think they're really special to have, because it makes the bigger moments in life so much more special, you know. I think if I could find a good balance between those things, then that would be the ultimate goal for me, being able to, you know, go fishing, and also just, you know, play in a band every now and then for a big crowd and stuff. Yeah. I think, that would be the ultimate goal for me. I think I'd love to also, I think that could even come with a band, you know, if you know, had a little bit of fame to my name and stuff, I'd love to be able to make pretty big change in a place that I'm so passionate about. Like, you know, the last couple of months I've been talking to people like, oh, do you think you'll ever move away overseas or anything? And, you know, I think I'd like to live overseas, you know, in the future for a bit, but I think honestly I'd probably always come back to New Zealand. Like, I think we've got it pretty awesome here. Like, we've got, like, you know, our nature's so close to us everywhere around, and I think there's not many other places that have it as good as us. You know, we've got clean drinking water, we've got all this great stuff, we've got all these awesome outdoor activities that I resonate with so much. Like, it's such a culture here, and I don't think I could ever leave that and never come back, you know. And so I think another part of my future would be, you know, having a say to make change and like a big impact on lots of people, to help them, you know, like, especially with conservation and nature and stuff. I'd love to have a voice and say in the decisions that go around that kind of thing. Yeah.
Fantastic, bro. I love that. And you're the first person that I've asked, what is your dream? What would you love to do in the future? I love that you have an idea of what that would be. Sometimes I imagine if I were to ask that to others, you can sort of get a bit sort of dumbfounded, like, I don't know. So it's great that you've got that. Yeah,
but I completely understand, like, having a complete plan for your life is such a hard thing to do, you know? And like, I only say that because I think I've had so much time to myself to really think about it, and I think, and you know, it's a hard thing to do, to figure out exactly what you want to do, and you know, like, what I say now might change in a couple of years anyway, you know. And I think that's all part of it. You know?
It's cool that you're understanding and open to that too, aware of that.
And you know, change is something you're always going to have to deal with in life, and I think the best thing you can do is just be a little bit prepared for it, you know. Like, and I think, you know, like, in whatever way that may be, shit happens. Be ready, you know.
Oh man, it's been a good chat. It's been really good.
Thank you so much for doing this. This has been super cool.
All the best for the future. Hopefully we can both look back on this one day when Sandfly's gone massive and think back to now.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it'd be pretty cool.
All right. Cheers, bro. Thank you so much.
No, you're welcome, man. Thanks for doing this.